Masha and the Bear is a very popular cartoon that most children have watched. This animated series first aired in Russia in 2009. Initially, Masha and the Bear was only broadcast in Russia, but after it became famous worldwide, it was translated into approximately 42 different languages. However, did you know that this cartoon is based on a completely true story? In fact, the animated series is inspired by real characters. While it's not unusual for cartoons to be inspired by real-life stories, Masha and the Bear has a different story because the real-life Masha experienced a very tragic end. In today's video, I will clarify 3 parts about Masha and the Bear. First, the content of the animated series that is still being shown on TV. Second, the Russian folktale about Masha. And finally, the sad truth about the real-life Masha. Let's start with the first part. In the animated series Masha and the Bear, Masha is a very energetic little girl to the point where all the animals in the forest are afraid of her. One day, Masha wanders into the forest and sneaks into a cabin. The cabin belongs to a retired circus bear. When the bear returns, he is surprised to see Masha inside his house. Initially, the bear tries everything to send her back home, but she refuses. Over time, Masha and the bear become close friends and start having adventures together in the forest. However, in the Russian folktale, the characters appear completely different. Masha is a girl living in a small village in Russia with her grandparents. Every day she would go into the forest with her friends to pick mushrooms and fruits. One day, Masha asked her grandparents for permission to go deeper into the forest with her friends. Her grandparents agreed, but warned her about a very fierce bear living deep in the forest. Masha promised her grandparents she would know her limits. However, after entering the forest, she lost her friends and was left alone. Frightened, she screamed for help, but it was useless. It was getting late, and Masha found an old cabin. At first, she thought it was just a villager's cabin, but after entering, she realized it belonged to a giant bear, the very creature her grandparents had warned her about. Masha tried to escape, but the bear prevented her from leaving. The bear took her as a hostage and demanded that she cook for him every day, or else she would become his meal. Masha cried every day, but she soon realized that crying was not going to help her escape. She devised a plan to trick the big bear. She agreed to cook for him daily on the condition that he must go out every morning to gather the ingredients she needed for cooking. As the bear became less cautious, she executed her plan. One day she baked a lot of pies, and when the bear returned, asked him for permission to take the pies to her family, promising to come right back. The bear refused, saying he would deliver the pies himself. Masha agreed, but set a condition that the bear was not allowed to open the basket along the way. She told him that she would climb a tall tree to watch him the entire way. While the bear was preparing for the journey, Masha sneaked into the basket. As promised, the bear carried the basket on his back and headed straight for the village. When he arrived and set the basket down, a pack of ferocious dogs barked and chased the bear away from the village. Masha then climbed out of the basket and reunited with her family. That is the folktale about Masha and the bear. Now let's move on to the true story about the real Masha. It is said that in the 1820s, a little girl named Masha lived in a small, sparsely populated village. The story began when a circus troupe came to the village, and Masha was very excited about the appearance of a giant bear. She insisted her parents take her to the circus to see the bear's performance. That night, her parents agreed to take her to the circus, but she missed the bear's performance. Disappointed, Masha left the circus tent on her own. Outside, she found a large iron cage with the giant bear Anatoly inside, the one she had wanted to see. Masha tried to open the cage, thinking the bear was just a regular pet. After finding the key, Masha opened the cage, but the bear attacked her immediately, and she did not survive the incident. Following this tragic event, the Russian government issued warnings to parents about the dangers of bears, mandating that they keep their children away from these dangerous wild animals.